Exposition, the worst part of fiction. The word itself comes from the verb expose, which is rarely used to describe a positive scenario. But wait a minute. What if I told you that this is just a lie, a myth? What if I told you that exposition can actually be one of the main strengths of your story when handled correctly? In this video, I'll share with you a few techniques that should help you transform exposition from the weakest link in your story into its greatest strength. So let's kick things off with technique number 1, make the audience die for exposition. One of my favorite ways to achieve this is by wrapping exposition in mystery. Instead of explaining events or backstories through info dumps in the first chapters, hold onto that information until you've created enough curiosity. That way your audience will start seeing those moments as rewarding reveals rather than boring exposition. A great example comes from the anime Attack on Titan. Here we see humanity forced to live behind 3 giant layers of walls to protect themselves from man-eating titans. The hostility of these mindless titans is directed exclusively towards humans, and we learn that they don't even need to eat to survive. So, why are they killing humans? Who built the walls? All of these questions are answered only in later seasons. Instead of explaining those things in early chapters, the author chose to hook the audience with tragedy, shock, characters, and character motivations first, and turned what I believe to be the weakest aspect of the story, the background, into a very hooking mystery. This decision really added strength to the early seasons. I remember spending hours with my friends speculating and debating the reality of the Attack of Titan world and the backstory and all that good stuff. And even though I didn't really like the direction the reveal took, it still felt great to finally uncover the mystery. I also couldn't abandon the show because the author did a great job hooking me with the other elements of the story. Now, a bad example would be Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
Huh? What did this just say?
The movie starts with a 10 minutes exposition, and while this worked great for setting the tone, I personally wish some elements like the true nature of the ring or Sauron's intentions had been kept as intriguing mysteries to be gradually revealed throughout the story, rather than being laid out all at once at the beginning. But what if the info you want to share is just not fit to be a mystery? Well, that brings us to technique number 2. Turn the exposition from a chore into a treat. Sometimes you have those fun little nuggets of exposition that aren't that important or impactful to the overall story, but you still would like to sprinkle over a character or an event. Instead of abandoning those or briefly mentioning them in dialogue or exposition, you can wrap those and present it to your audience as a gift. The trick is to throw it at them after creating enough engagement. This could be after demonstrating the charisma of a character or a tragedy or a tough decision the character had to make. The more the audience like a character or event, the more interested they'll be in learning about them. However, it is really important to build that connection first before sharing too much information. A poor example of this can be seen in Game of Thrones. The show introduces Bronn's backstory through expositional dialogue, and even though this helps to explain his character dynamics, I didn't really care that much about those scenes the first time I watched season 1. I mean, the show throws 100 characters at you at once, and it's really difficult to care about all of them, especially not Tyrion's probably disposable sellsword. But over time, Bronn grew to be my second favorite character of the show, and I eventually found myself googling those early exposition scenes I had once found boring. A better example is Attack on Titan, which holds back Levi's backstory until season 3, by which point he was already a fan favorite. Moving on to technique number 3, the choice between impact or anticipation. While withholding exposition is a great way to make exposition scenes interesting, sometimes it's better to use such scenes to build anticipation and keep the audience on the edge of their seat. For example, in Frank Herbert's Dune, Spoilers alert for those who didn't read book 1 or watch the first movie. In the book, the reader knew about Dr. Yu's intentions and alliances right from the start. And while that spoiled the surprise, it opened another window to his internal struggles. It also built anticipation about whether he's going to betray the Atreides or not. In the movie, however, they chose to withhold that information to capitalize on the impact of the betrayal. Point is, while the first two techniques we discussed favor withholding information to create impact, revealing information early can help you explore characters or events from different angles, put them in different perspective or lights. It is also a great way or a great tool to build anticipation. The key here is to choose the right hook for your audience. Those three techniques can turn exposition from a weakness into a strength, but there are plenty of other methods that can help exposition kind of fly under the audience's radar. If you're interested in a video on that, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see your books on my shelves.